First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.
Well, this was a doozy, huh, gals?
Wow.
God.
This was the episode when One Tree Hill became Wisteria Lane, like Desperate Housewives. Maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know, like a 90s thriller.
It wanted to be Scream.
Like Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fear, Scream. What was the one with Alicia Silverstone? Cruel something? No.
Yeah.
What was that one with Carrie Elways and Alicia Silverstone?
Oh,
Crush.
yeah. Crush.
Oh, Crush.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the Psycho Derek episode, guys.
Oh.
All right, it's season 4, episode 5. I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness. Air date October 25th, 2006. Hilarie, would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, well, look, it had a real Halloween vibe to it for October 25th. Lucas and Peyton discovered that Derek's interest in Peyton is more than brotherly, and Derek's behavior takes a dark turn. That's an understatement. Haley reveals that she's pregnant to Nathan. At the same time, he's offered a scholarship to Duke. And Rachel uses the internet to set Brooke up on a blind date with an older guy. I mean, 3 very different trajectories in this episode for the 3 ladies of One Tree Hill.
Yeah. Like, what does our show want to be right now?
I don't know.
The Haley's, like, it was, those 2 things really probably shouldn't have been in the same episode. The Haley and Nathan, like, emotional pregnancy journey, his, like, dream and all. It was like, that was one of those feel-good storylines that we love about our show. And then this random, psychotic, violent storyline. I feel like maybe they could have done a little better, parceling those out into different episodes.
But because even the music choices, it went from being like,
Totally.
Dun, 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 to like,
Sideways camera angles.
yeah, to like really loving stuff when Nathan looks in the camera and is like, yo, baby, I love you so much. And there's tears.
It's you and me, babe. Yeah.
Too much.
Oh, man.
Too much.
Wow.
It was very all over the place.
It starts on our sex worker, played by a friend of ours, Carrie Moscow. She
Carrie
was
Moscow.
my stand-in for a big run of the show. And she was an actor as well. And I like that she got some screen time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I thought she did a really good job with what she had to do
Yep.
because it was sad that she couldn't say, I've been assaulted. She had to pretend like I'm just clumsy. I felt for her character in that very, short scene. She'd been brutalized.
I did too. It was nice to see her on camera. I remember she was such a lovely person to be around. Our stand-ins, I don't know if we've explained this on the show before, but for those of you who don't know anything about how our films are made, when actors, after we rehearse, we go get our hair and makeup on and our wardrobe and everything. And then all the lighting guys are setting up lights and setting up the cameras, and they need bodies to stand in our place so that they can light us properly. So that's what Carrie was, one of the lovely gals that we had who would do that for us. And she's very vivacious, like lovely, sweet, smart. I loved seeing her. So it was that was one of the fun parts about getting, I think for a lot of stand-ins, you get on a show and then the crew and everybody gets really comfortable with you. And then when a part like this comes up, you're the first person they think of because you're there every day. You're already around everyone. So, and I think we did that quite a bit on our show with folks that we were used to
Soph, your
having around.
stand-in was in this episode too. Ashley.
She was?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say that's part of what's so cool, especially when you do a show for a long time, is you really get to form a bond with these folks. And, by now we're in season 4. So when we started working, we were all so young. It was pretty common that you'd have someone who was your stand-in who'd been doing it a while, who maybe was your age, who maybe was a little older than you. And then a lot of those people go and they get the jobs they've been training for. And you get this sort of new crop of people. And I think, we had like, what was it? Probably like 3 regular folks for each of us over the course of 9 years. Like those are really close relationships. And, you know, even I did 4 years of a show in Chicago, and I had the same stand-in for almost the entire time and the same stunt double for the entire show.
That's cool.
And it's like these people become your families. And like Kelly, who doubled me, who helped do all the stunt choreography in Chicago, had actually doubled me on a movie that I filmed while we were doing One Tree Hill, and has gone on to continue working with me. And it's like, it is interesting because people don't see those people on camera a lot, but they are like truly some of our closest friends in our working world. Mm-hmm. And it was always so neat when, to your point, a part like this would come up and then they'd be given the opportunity to audition. And it was just always really special when they would win a part like that, because they were on set day in, day out, studying and learning the craft and, you know, trying to pursue those goals while helping us pursue ours. It's like, it's a very, very special thing.
Yeah. Also, which I always think is funny, because they try to find stand-ins that have features that are similar to yours. Like Ashley has a upturned, I don't know if that's the right phrase, but like a very defined nose. And so do you. And you're like a similar bone structure, like her cheekbones. There's this like, even though you guys don't look alike if you pass each other on the street, and the same thing, Bridget, my stand-in, big brown eyes, kind of a round face, and like, you know, puffy cheeks. Hilarie, you, Carrie had, and they have to find somebody who's your height too, but the hair color, her eyes were blue and yours are green, but it's the same kind of a thing.
Yeah,
and
but big
also
light eyes.
Big light eyes, yeah, similar kind of skin tone and bone structure.
And
But
shoulders.
funny-
Shoulders are a big
yes,
thing.
that's
They were
right.
like,
That's right. So it's funny to see somebody come in and you're like, oh, you're the other me. This is so weird.
Yeah, especially to have Carrie dressed up as you.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It really did create this chilling effect, because you could see as an audience member what Derek saw in her. And it's because that's what our whole crew saw in her.
Yeah. I just found, I'm doing a documentary for something else, and I had to go through and look at all of our pictures from this era. And I just found, like literally right before we started watching this episode, all the pictures from this episode, because hair and makeup took a bunch of behind the scenes photos, and there are pictures of me with my stunt double in our cheerleading uniforms. And so we'll post those. Well, I'm going to post those. That's fun. I'm going to go get those out. You know what I'll say is that we talked at length in our last podcast about how complicated this episode was, because they were really trying to appeal to a male audience that liked female brutality. And so I don't want to continue to beat that dead horse. What I will say is our hair and makeup team knew how uncomfortable I was. And they made that day of shooting in the bedroom with Derek and all the crazy shit so fun. And they they made it like such a joke. Like anytime I was just like seated on the floor because Peyton's getting dragged and it's in between takes, they would yell out like, "Nobody puts baby in a corner," you know? And like, they just were being so freaking goofy about it. And that's the power of chicks. Chicks just know when you're uncomfortable, and they're like, we're going to come in and at least we're going to make it funny behind the scenes. So
Yes.
Yeah.
we had a good
Camaraderie.
team. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well,
How was Matt in that? I mean, that had to have been hard for him too. You know, I think any guy who's not a psychopath doesn't, you know, feels uncomfortable being put in that position, having to act out stuff like that with.
well, all of our boys are having to do like this new Nick guy has to be a total creeper, right?
Oh, that's so creepy. That whole thing is so
and
creepy.
Derek has to be creepy, and Nathan has to be like kind of complicated with the I'm not going to feel guilty about this of it all. Yeah, doing hard stuff is where your acting shows up, I suppose. Matt Barr.
But did you guys have conversations? Was he
Yeah.
like, you know, is this okay? What can I like? How did that go?
That dude was so concerned about my comfort level. Like the whole time he was on the show. You know, it was always like, is this too much? Is it what works for you? How can I dial this back? How do I, I have to make your terror make sense. So do you need me to turn it up to 11? Like he just checked in constantly. And he was younger than us too. I don't know what Matt had worked on before he came on One Tree Hill, but it's not like he'd been doing a ton of movies where he was the old, seasoned pro. He just knew to be thoughtful about it. And especially like, he throws me or he headbutts me onto the bed and then has to climb on top of me.
Like, oof, that got me.
I have kissed every boy on this show. And I will say that like Matt Barr, having to do as much physical interaction as we did, hands down the most thoughtful with like, where do I put my hands? Where can I put my leg? Are you okay lining this up ourselves or do you want someone else to do it? I can't say enough good stuff about that guy because he's great. And what I appreciate about Matt is that you see it especially in the scene where Peyton goes to his hotel room, which like, what? Why?
Why? Why does she go there?
We all screamed.
Because of the Ys. She had to check the keyboard.
Yeah.
Sticky Y, man.
Sticky Y.
But showing the instability in that human's psyche, Matt did a really good job because you can tell that Derek is unraveling. I mean, and
totally
like
unhinged.
Not in a I want to sleep with you kind of way necessarily, but in a I need to consume you. I need your validation is the only thing keeping me breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, it's a kind of possessiveness that is so clearly off the rails. And it's really fascinating to watch someone who's good, like Matt is good as an actor, handle it. And it's relieving to know how kind he was in your one-on-ones behind the scenes that were so upsetting, because it's really hard to film material like that.
Oh, it's gross.
Like it does leave a residue on your body, and how much of it you carry can really be mitigated by the tenor of the environment when the cameras aren't rolling. And you deserve to, if you have to portray scenes like this or do material like this, like what a gift to at least have someone try to take care of you through it. That's a good scene partner. And I think, to your point, we've talked about the things that make us really uncomfortable about some of these storylines, and whether it's this kind of really extreme male obsessive violence and possessiveness, or it's, a teacher telling his date that he fantasizes about high school cheerleaders.
Ew,
It's all so gross.
So good. This whole storyline.
We don't like where this is going for you.
Can't wait to read you guys the tweet I got about it just today, because people know this episode is coming.
Oh my gosh.
But I will say that the way that the set is run between the takes can make all the difference when the material is not emotionally ideal.
Well, even like Matt went so far out of his way to like be bros with Chad and Ernest Waddell, who plays real Derek as well. He wanted them to feel comfortable. And there's kind of this weird alpha male energy anytime there's action scenes where like you stay away from each other in between takes and like you go do push-ups in a corner so you look ripped and shit like that. And Matt was just like, hey, does anybody want coffee? I'm going by craft service. Can I get you guys anything?
Aww.
And it was the camaraderie with all of us, because we all end up rolling around together on the floor in that bedroom, hitting each other with lamps and shit. It was just party time.
I love that. You kind of have to when you're playing a role like that. You got to make sure everybody knows you're actually a really nice guy. Well, there's a lot of actors out there who are so method that they'll show up and be broody and just stay in that zone, and it's like, oh, it's scary to be around, and blah, blah, blah. I love it when people are able to just be nice.
Yeah. Who was it? Laurence Olivier that was like, it's called acting. Like he said, I think he said it to Dustin Hoffman on a movie and was just like, oh, kid, please.
Listen. It's just acting, darling.
Acting.
Take yourself so seriously.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's like go in a little bit of order here because Haley and Nathan had a huge storyline.
That's a big episode.
We kept this, suspense going since last season where we don't know who's pregnant.
I know. Okay. Well, let's talk about it. Apparently I discovered self-tanner highlights and eyelash strips because
gorgeous,
a whole new look for Haley.
Gorgeous.
But then also somehow I discovered, like, what are they, board shorts? I literally don't even know what those kind of shorts are called. They go to your knees.
Oh,
and
Bermuda
they're khakis.
Bermuda shorts.
Bermuda shorts.
The era where I would be in a long sleeve t-shirt, Bermuda shorts, and platform flip-flops is really, it's not to be desired.
This was a costume designer that I didn't get along with well. He wasn't here for very long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember
He
that.
was really combative. He'd put out 3 outfits for you and you'd be like, oh, I really love this one. This one's actually my least favorite. So if we can make sure that like this isn't the one. And then sure as shit, you'd show up in your trailer in the morning and it would be the one you hated. You were just like, oh God, this guy. Whatever. I thought your Bermuda shorts were cute. And I like that Haley was like, look, if I'm going to be pregnant, I'm hot pregnant. Like none of this sweaty, like I don't feel good shit.
So cute. So yeah, I mean, I remember when we filmed that scene, I thought it was really strange. I was having a hard time figuring out how to deliver that line because it was so unnatural to me for Nathan to say, I'm going to Duke. And for Haley, who's been holding on to this secret the whole time, to spit out, I'm pregnant.
Oh.
It just seemed really out of character. Like if she's held on to it this long, she would let him really enjoy that and everything, and then maybe break it to him in like a couple of days. And like, I don't know. So that was weird, but we figured it out. It still felt clunky to me when I watched it back. But then why is Nathan so? I don't know. It seems so strange. Did all of his behavior check out for you guys? Because to me, it seemed so weird.
Well, here's what I'll say is none of us had babies. None of us had been pregnant when this was filmed. And so it's like, what do those hormones do to your brain, in your first trimester? And now I know I was a nightmare. I mean, a like legit nutcase. And the idea that Haley's like saying things out of character, that tracks.
Yeah, okay. All right. I buy that.
Yeah, her sensitivity to stuff makes sense.
But
I will
Nathan,
also say Nathan tracked for me because of the prior episodes. Like if he had just talked to you in that way, I think I would have been like, what the fuck, man? But because he has thought Brooke is pregnant and he's been like, I can't believe she wouldn't tell him. How has she kept this from him? He's gotten really vulnerable about how he feels about secrets and what feels like a betrayal of trust and confidence. And I do think, look, at the end of the day, priority number one is the pregnant person. Like Haley needs time to process. She's having the feelings she's having, but he's also having an experience.
Yeah, like he can't be expected to be that rational.
No, and I think because of the episodes we've done of the fake out, him being like, I have literally, I mean, he doesn't say this, but the way what I feel like I saw in the performance was, I have been looking at you for weeks talking about Brooke being pregnant, and it's you,
and you didn't say anything,
and you didn't tell me. Like
you let me go on and on.
Tell me. Oh God.
Yeah.
So what I actually really liked about it was that there was such a miss and so much discomfort.
Yeah.
And for once, like they push poor Paul into just being such a lunatic 98% of the time as Dan. I actually thought the Dan Scott stuff really worked in this episode.
Yeah,
it wasn't like super villain. It was much smaller. It was smarter. It was better played manipulation. And
I think that's Paul, because he knew there was so much psycho in this episode. He was like, they don't need Dan over the top either. Like, he brought it down to the ground and very, very real.
And it was so good. And the crazy thing is, and for our friends at home, when we watched the episode, when Dan says, Haley's already had her dream, now it's your turn, the three of us were like, oh my God, do we agree with Dan Scott right now?
Like, he's not wrong.
And so he's not wrong. So it's this really interesting moment where I think what I like about it is that I can see why everybody's upset, and I don't think anybody's actually wrong.
Yeah. Those are some of the most interesting interactions, I think, when you're whether it's in your own personal life. It's harder to appreciate the intrigue of the dynamic when it's your own personal feelings and relationship. But watching someone else go through it, that's why I said when Nathan walked out the door, I was like, what an interesting, it's so interesting that all these people are feeling their own feelings, and that's their reality, and that's exactly what they feel. And none of them are really wrong, but they're all missing each other.
As a teen boy mom, I'm really interested in the walking away of it all, because throughout my child's, childhood and adolescence, I have told him, if you're in a situation where you feel your emotions are getting hot, right? Take a beat. And if you're still hot, go for it. But if you're not still hot, then you've taken a beat, right? And so I've gotten calls from Gus's school where they're like, hey, Gus has just like left the classroom, or like he just like left lunch. Oh yeah. Yeah. They're like, he's walked away from a situation and we can't get him to talk to us. And I'm like, well, because he doesn't need to talk to you. But I've raised him to walk away. And so like I thought what Nathan did was right, because that's how I've raised my child. Like, before you get into it, take your beat. And if you still feel the same way, honor it. But if you don't, good thing you took that beat.
Yeah. Give yourself a moment to really assess and let your adrenaline come down, because then you might avoid saying something you regret, and it'll be better for everybody.
Because we've seen Nathan say some like nasty stuff. We've seen Nathan do some really nasty stuff. And so rather than do anything nasty, he was like, I'm going to go to Rachel's house and sit on her bed.
Yes. I'm going to go to somewhere totally random.
And reject her still.
And still, yes.
I heard something yesterday. I was having drinks with a girlfriend. She said, you can't solve a problem on the same frequency that it was created. It's a quote from someone, I can't remember who. If anybody out there finds it, I'd love to know who said that. But I think it's so true that you can't, wherever the problem is created, you have to come at it from a different angle. And when you're hot and you're meeting it on the same emotional level, there's no good that's going to come from that. It's always going to be just two problems back and forth batting at each other,
It's Einstein, Joy.
Oh, it's Einstein? Great.
It's Einstein.
Love that guy.
We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them.
Great. Okay.
I like the frequency edit, but
I
that's
like
it.
frequency better.
I do too. I like how it's evolved since
thanks,
the white-haired
Einstein.
man.
Here's a random, total non sequitur. My grandmother used to catch butterflies on the beach with Albert Einstein.
She dated Einstein? Your grandma dated Einstein.
No, she was a little girl, and she would catch butterflies on the beach with him when she was a little girl. And he was out there. He was like, isn't that so funny? Anyway.
Wow.
But can
Totally
we tell
random.
people that your grandma dated Einstein? Because that is just like a...
I think the age difference, if somebody really looked into it, would end up being super creepy.
It'll be like Nick in this episode.
Yeah. It's like Pocahontas and John Smith.
We're like, teachers should not be hitting on their students. And then we're like, but 100 years ago it might have been cute.
No, I think she was like 6 and he was like
Einstein.
20. And it was like,
that's weird.
like, little girl, come catch butterflies with me on the beach.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, coming back to it. But yes, that's a lesson that has been very difficult for me to learn in life. And I still work on it, is when I feel that emotional reaction come up, I feel so strongly about it that like, if I don't do it, if I don't say something, something must be done. I must do something. And always it backfires. And I just have to keep reminding myself to do exactly what you're teaching your son, which is so great, Hilarie.
Yeah.
Just walk away, come back later.
My cycle is say it calm, say it calm, say it calm, say it calm. And then when I hit that I've said it calm 5 times and I have to explode, you've earned that. And I think Nathan is doing that. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to say it calm. I'm going to say it calm. I'm going to say it calm. And if everyone keeps pushing my buttons, I might explode, because we've all seen me do that before. But the tempered reactions are difficult for kids. You know, Haley's she's dealing with pregnancy hormones, but Nathan's dealing with teen boy hormones, you know,
and kids who have been raised with parents that clearly don't spend time teaching them anything.
Yeah.
They're just feral.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the most maternal person in this episode, the most parental person in this episode is Karen. When she welcomes Haley in and says, "Welcome to my life." You know,
I wish they'd given you guys more of like a scene.
Oh, I know.
I think they did, and
Me
they cut it.
too.
I think we had one and it got cut.
This was at that point where at least 2 scenes wound up on the cutting room floor every episode, because they would overwrite and then we would lose things, and it was so sad. I feel like it would have been so nice to see you, but what I will say is it made sense. Like, even just that sentence was so impactful. And this idea that an adult could look at you and say, "I've been there. I'm here."
Yeah. Haley going to Dan, though, that really threw me off. It threw me off on the day, too. And when I got the script, I was like, this is so unrealistic. This does not happen.
You and Paul are such good friends now. Were you guys that tight then? Like, was this kind of a behind the scenes showing up on camera thing? Or was this the start of you guys hanging out more? Because
yeah, we were tight. We were tight kind of right away. We became good friends. And I think once I got married in real life, that relationship cooled, because I don't know, it was just like I was young and it felt weird to be like super close friends with someone. Like, I mean, I got along better with him than I did with my husband. So it was like probably I should be respectful and not like spend all my time with this.
honey, I'm at Paul's house. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. You know, just trying to be a good wife. But anyway, yeah, so we did get on really well, and it was always easy on set. So I think that was probably a little bit of just normal Paul and Joy communication just bleeding into that scene. But it just was, I just could not really believe that Haley would go to Dan first. Maybe Karen, maybe Deb, maybe
Her own mom, like, call
her
mom.
own mom and dad, Lucas. He just seems like the last person that she would go to, A, to confide in, B, to give information to, and then C, to receive advice from. All 3 of those things are just very, I don't believe it. I don't buy it.
I mean, I guess the line of thinking is, if Nathan was following Dan's trajectory, the only other person on the planet that could know what Nathan's thinking is the other guy that, you know, had a dream.
Yeah.
I dreamed a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe in that case, then I wish I had played it differently. And who knows, maybe I was feeling stubborn on that day and I just was like, no, I really want to sit down and be sincere. And maybe I should have done it more like from the door and been like hesitant. And I wish I wasn't here. There's no reason for me to be here, but I have to do this and you need to know. And, you know, could have kept it a little bit more that. But then again, there's the hormones. It's a pregnancy hormones. So that kind of writes everything. You can free hall pass on pregnancy hormones for like everything.
You set Dan up for tenderness, which is because if we look at all of Dan's lines in that episode or in that scene, he's got that line where you're like, "I'm pregnant." And he says, "It seems to be going around." And he says it in a really loving way, but he could have said it real assy if he wanted to.
Yeah.
You know, like you set him up for tender choices.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to see Dan like processing all this and the way that he approached Nathan on the basketball court afterward, which, also again, could have been done and delivered in a way that was very mustache twisty villain. And instead it was very real, solid advice. I mean,
Loving advice.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah.
He was. I know.
What does Haley want to study that she can only go to Stanford?
That's what I was thinking. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah. She could very easily go to Duke. But I think part of it is about what our dreams are. And it's what Dan says to Nathan. You've loved Haley for a year. You've loved basketball your whole life. We have these dreams, these things that we're obsessed with as young people. And then your plans change and you realize, oh, this is still great. But when you're so young and your plans haven't had much cause to change, I think the idea of, the pennant you've had on your wall since you were little is probably really, really meaningful to you.
Yeah.
Even though at this stage in life, now we're all the age that Dan Scott was, and we look back and go, it doesn't fucking matter where you go to college. How dumb.
Yeah, duh.
But at 17, it's like, it's everything.
Have you ever dated someone that was like, I need you to give up this super huge opportunity? Like, you're going to pick me over this big opportunity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And did those work out?
No. Not the relationship and then the missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Not, it's like, oof.
I think,
killer.
though, there's a distinction that feels important between what Nathan says, which is this is a decision we'll make as a family. We will choose our path based on what's good for the three of us. There's that. And then there is the thing that I see us all smirking about, which is being young, and especially being young women who are succeeding and being in relationships with men whose masculinity is very threatened by female success, who then look at you. We've had someone or someone's look at each of us and say, you need to be a little smaller so I can be big. And
That's right.
is like, that's just like pouring napalm on the whole neighborhood. It's like, goodbye, light it up. Like, we're done.
We're so done
it's-
here.
That is when someone just wants you to be small so they can feel big. It's very different than being in a healthy partnership where as a team you say, okay, we have to figure out what's doable for us.
It's hard to tell though, especially when you're young. I mean,
Yeah.
even at our age, it can sometimes be hard to tell, but we have the advantage of life experience, because when you're that young, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to, you should be able to have space for you. And so, yeah, I don't want to take up all the space. Like, you think that you're actually maybe doing something too
Noble.
much. Yeah. And noble. Like, okay, I'm going to make sacrifice. That's what a relationship is about. You have to make sacrifices for each other. And you do. So it's like there's always this element of truth. Yes, in relationships, you need to make sacrifices for each other. But it's within the context of making decisions together rather than someone saying, I can't handle your essence, like everything about you, your dreams, your fullness. I can't handle that. You have to be smaller.
Yeah. What I think is really interesting is learning that it's a sliding scale. Like there is a window of healthy compromise and willingness to listen, but there's a lot on either side of that scale. And I think when you're younger, it can be easier to martyr yourself or shrink yourself or dim your own light and say, well, of course I can do this for you. And yes, I can prove to you that I love you so much because I'm willing to miss out on fill in the blank. And it is, to your point, Joy, that life experience you get as you get older, where it's much easier to know the difference between
Someone who's insecure.
yes, and they say, for example, marriage or relationships, they're work. And all of us are at the stage where we go, yeah, they're work, but they shouldn't be torture. And when you're younger, sometimes you think that the suffering, like this must be the work that everybody says it takes.
Yeah.
And you're in the wrong scale. It's a hard no on the suffering and the torture for me. Goodbye.
Yeah. The work is more like, who's picking up Thai food tonight? Like which one of us is going to take that turn? Joy, you made a comment during the press conference. You're like, why isn't Haley there? Like, in hindsight, what do you think Haley should have done? Given that, like, Nathan, this child clearly has PTSD. His mom's got off the rails. This child has not had a win in a long time. Like, as his partner, what would you have done?
I absolutely would have shown up. Me now, like my age now, you just put the problem on the shelf and know you're coming back to it, and you show up with bells on.
Right.
But, you know, she's, again, like 17,
Yeah.
18. I don't know. I guess she was feeling sorry for herself. They had a big fight. And that's something that happens a lot in relationships. When you have a fight and then you think, oh, he doesn't want me there. He actually basically told me, stay home. Like, don't be a part of this. Even though those words weren't said, you interpret those feelings. And, you know, people misunderstand each other all the time and then feel like they're just missing each other.
Yeah.
I do wish. I don't know. Do you think she should have stayed home? Did you like that?
When he came home, like, the Haley I think of would have had a cake that said, like, the baby and I are proud of you, you know? Like, would have done something to be creative and make it, like, fun. And so to see her just so, like, I don't know.
Yeah, she was kind of mopey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the same way that I can understand Nathan's reaction, I can also understand that for Haley, because yes, she's been keeping this secret for, I don't know, 6 weeks or whatever, but that is 6 weeks of waiting for the reaction that you're hoping is coming, and then you don't get it. And yeah, it's your fault because you're the one who kept the secret, but it doesn't matter. It's like that's 6 weeks of a buildup and you're a little heartbroken. And I think that's why I enjoyed these scenes with the two of you so much, because I felt for you both so clearly. I understood exactly where each of you was coming from. And Haley had to go lick her wounds, regardless of the fact that they're kind of self-inflicted. It doesn't matter. Like, he really didn't give her the thing she'd been hoping for. And he was justified in not being excited because he felt betrayed. And oh God, it's like such an uncomfortable standstill.
Yeah, totally. You know how I wish that scene would have gone? I'm rewriting this scene right now.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
These are my favorite things that we do.
Yeah.
Let's pretend it happened this way. So Nathan's where did he got a phone call or he got an email?
Yeah, it was like a phone
He
call.
got a phone call.
Okay, so Nathan's like
From
on
Coach
the phone,
K.
And then meanwhile, we cut to Haley. Yeah, Coach K. Then Haley's in the bathroom and she's like psyching herself up to tell him. And she's like getting ready to tell him.
Yes.
And then he's on the phone. He's got this call. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to go do it. And maybe she's on her phone. She's like, I'm going to tell him now. Okay. And then they both walk out in the hallway and they're like, I have something to tell you. And it's like, okay, let's both say it at the same time. They're both really excited and they say it at the exact same time. And then they both just like,
oh, that's so much better.
come on.
That would have been
much
so
better.
fun.
From now on, that's how I remember that scene happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Haley being in the bathroom on the phone with Brooke, being like, I'm going to do it today. And she's like, you better do it today, Haley. Today.
Yes.
You tell everybody today.
Like, I remember when Jeffrey and I found out that we were pregnant with Gus, like, we were like, oh man, wow. There was a lot of wow. And then we walked like 8 miles. Like, we were in Manhattan and we just walked all the way from downtown all the way to uptown and didn't really talk. But it was just every once in a while we'd just like stop at a light and be like, wow.
Wow.
Like, that's the reaction that I see these kids having, because it's like, I don't even have the language to talk about this. Wow. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to let the silence take over. But instead, you know, I don't know.
But what I love about your idea too, Joy, is that it would have tracked some of the humor of the last couple of episodes. Because, by the way, some of the great humor is for Haley and Brooke and their secret.
Yes.
And now I finally know where the gif of me going, thank you, comes from. I was like, oh my God, it's this episode.
I love it.
That's where the cake should have come in. Brooke should have made a cake. She should have been at her apartment, like finishing it up. Like, she's got the cake covered. Haley pulls the lid off the thing and it's the cake. That's like...
And Brooke the cake just says, it isn't me. Congratulations, love, Brooke.
Baby.
But it's like, if your scene had happened where you'd been on the phone with me and he'd been on the phone with the coach, and then we'd gotten to school and I was like, I get that it didn't go the way you wanted it to go, but I don't really care. People need to know. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Like, it would have tracked the hilarity that you and I had in all of those scenes throughout these first 4 episodes.
Yeah. I loved that jumping
on the
up
table.
on the table. It was so fun. And Haley just taking it. She was like, yeah, all right, I'll just let you.
Being like, oh, okay.
You've earned
yeah,
this.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
fine.
I've done it. I'm done.
Oh, boy.
I've run out of road.
Wow. All right. Well, let's
was
talk
fun.
about Brooke then, because
baby.
Rachel's at it again, manipulating a situation, getting Brooke into some other sticky mess.
It's just, it started on such a high note for Brooke. Like, I laughed when I jumped up on that table. I forgot about that. Like, God, I loved the physical freedom I had in her comedy to be big. And she's like reclaiming her power. And then Rachel puts her on a dating app.
You're so Italian, talking with your hands.
Using your arms and talking with your hands on that table.
Flailing all the time.
Italian.
But yeah, the stuff with the Brooke and Nick storyline made me so incredibly uncomfortable. And, I know we've talked about a lot of this, and to echo Hilarie's point, we're not trying to beat a dead horse, but I remember how uncomfortable it made me then.
Before you even shot it, or once you were shooting it, you were like, this
all
is
of
weird,
it. The
or
scenes, shooting the scenes, everything was uncomfortable. And the writers really liked to do this thing where they sort of dressed Brooke and Rachel up as these like promiscuity Barbies and would send them out pretending to be older and like seducing guys. And it was just
had this,
really
like, a flash in my brain of the box at Kmart, like Skipper and like Malibu Barbie, and then just like promiscuity Barbie in a box.
But now because it's 2022, we'd be like sex positive Barbie.
Right. Christmas 2022.
Yeah, like do you, but also, oh God, I just didn't like it. It made me really uncomfortable. And again, like, not having like a ton of experience under my belt as a woman, like a young woman in my 20s, and playing someone on TV who was so sexualized. Yeah. So I got treated like I was like some wild child vixen in my real life because of Brooke. And it made me so uncomfortable.
Would guys come up to you and talk to you in ways that you thought they never would if they didn't know your character?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
I remember one night in a bar in Wilmington getting physically assaulted by, there were a group of Marines who were in from one of the bases.
Sophia, oh my God.
And these two guys put their hands up my shorts. And I... I'm sweating even thinking about it. And I turned around and just like the first one close to me, I smacked him across the face and like shoved the other one. And I just started screaming. No shock. I was immediately on a soapbox about how they didn't deserve to wear a uniform and every freedom they'd ever fought for was a fucking lie because they were just creepy. Blah, blah, blah. And suddenly they're like, sorry. And they tried to make all these excuses about like watching Brooke Davis on the Armed Forces Network and how I was their crush. And I was just like shaking and sweating. And when I turned to my right, there was Scotty Saber.
Oh, Saber.
And for our listeners at home, Saber was like one of our best boyfriends on our show and a guy who worked in the AD department. And he was a wrestler, like a literal, actual wrestler. And he was
like
just
the kind
standing
of guy
there.
that can't put his arms all the way down because his lats are...
Yeah, he's just like built like a brick house. And he was standing there with his giant, like, rebar
pectorals
arms
and his huge
crossed,
arms.
just red in the face and all the veins were popping out of his neck. And I looked at him.
Hulk.
And he was like, I was really impressed watching you and you had it. But just so you know, I was ready to rip their fucking heads off. Yeah. If they had not apologized. And I was like, oh. So yes, like it's tangential, but like that was the energy I was met with a lot out in the world when our show was on. And it was so uncomfortable. And it, would even be like, I don't know, I'd go to like a dinner event and depending on who I got sat next to, it would run in the tabloids. It's like, she's dating. And I'm like, I said 2 words to that person at like a thing. I don't know him.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were cute. I was like, can I get his number? Like, what is up?
Okay, but can we help?
I'm like, if you're going to write the story, at least like somebody take me to dinner.
That's when you send the apology to the agent.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I don't know how
I am
this
so
happened.
sorry, but I'm very curious if this is a thing. So it was just like a weird a weird time, and it was a weird opinion to be met with, to have people really think that, I was this girl who would like dress up in short skirts and go out and like bang older dudes in bars or like in classrooms. It was just not comfortable. And the actor who they brought in to play Nick, was polite. Like, it's not even about him. It was about the way these scenes were written and what they asked him to do. And like, it actually made me feel so good watching how uncomfortable that scene made the two of you.
Yeah.
When you were like, wait, this guy's like talking about fantasizing about cheerleaders and he's a teacher?
Yeah.
On a first blind date.
And like Brooke doesn't know that he's a teacher, so he feels like he has freedom to joke about that kink. But
gross.
Yeah, it was gross, and it really, I think because of what we were all going through behind the scenes, it felt even grosser.
Yeah.
Because we knew that was verbatim the fantasy of the adult men we worked with.
Dude, okay, in terms of like storylines, we just did the Rachel Cooper thing.
Yes, exactly. Why are we doing this again?
We're just
it's lazy.
Constantly doing the high school fantasy with an older guy story over and over.
And that's what was hard, I know, in season 4 for me and also for Daniil with the Cooper stuff. Thank God Michael Trucco's the nicest man on planet Earth.
Yeah.
But we knew that we were being forced to film reenactments of our boss's fantasies.
Oh.
And it just felt gross.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, somebody tweeted me, one of our Drama Queens fans, and by the way, I love when the boys call out men on their Mark.
Babies.
Yeah, there's this sweet man on Twitter, Mark Corrigan, who tweeted at us and said, do you guys think they made Brooke's 18th birthday an on-screen occasion to make sure the audience knew she was 18 before she started sleeping with her teacher? It always felt icky to me and like it was too big of a coincidence.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure it was intentional. I'm sure it was.
Because did any of the rest of us have birthdays on the show? I never did.
Mm-mm.
I only had the one. I don't remember any other birthdays. And it was a big deal about Brooke turning 18. And we had just had the Rachel storyline where, Cooper's 25, sleeping with a 17-year-old. And he says, I am not going to do this. And she's like, well, 17's the age of consent in this state. It's like, no, that's like pretty pedophile shit. And so they keep leaning into, we're going to tell you why it's, quote, okay.
Yeah.
But this whole thing of like, do you still have your cheerleading uniform? Like, it is so clearly about fantasizing about teenage girls. And so the whole thing, I don't know, man, it just... It like washes this feeling of ickiness over me. And it was hard to deal with that on camera and then be met with it out in the world and feel like I had to be prepared for a fight.
Yeah.
If like all of us went out to play pool, it was a weird, it was a really weird time.
Well, I have to leave and go pick up my son, or not pick him up, but Gus is doing a mock trial of the Salem witch trials at school. And
oh my gosh. What, are you filming it? Send us a video of that.
It's going to be the greatest day of my life.
I'm dying. I want to be there.
Sophia, I totally feel what you're saying, because the entire reason that Peyton had to go to this press conference for Nathan, which makes no sense, was just to have an excuse for her to be in her cheerleading uniform, because getting attacked in your uniform in a little short skirt was hotter than getting attacked in what Peyton was wearing earlier during the day. Which was like a tank top and jeans. Like this whole narrative about being at the press conference was manufactured just so that the attack scenes would happen in bloomers.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I remember that being like a whole conversation. Like, we just have to get you in your uniform. And I was like, huh? So I just made sure I was really sweaty and snotty and bloody. like how gross can I make my face?
Yeah.
So I totally feel what you're saying. But look, here's the upside. We got Ernest Waddell out of this episode.
We did. I love him.
Such a cool artist. It would be really great to have Ernest on the show. We need to get him because I think he's still in New York and he went to NYU with Greenberg.
We need to get Ernest and we need to get Matt Barr because, our friends who got to come on tour got to hear from him. But I do think it would be really special to be able to dissect this with him because he is just such a good human.
Let's have him for the prom episode. He's our prom date. Okay.
Oh, God.
Prom date.
All right.
Matt Barr.
I love you guys.
Okay,
I'm going to the
you,
Salem
Hill.
witch trials.
I love you. Go.
Bye.
We'll wrap up.
So actually, when you were talking, I wanted to ask you, because there were other teen shows on the air at the time that we were on and other girls that were also objectified in the same way, their characters being, hypersexualized and stuff. Did you ever talk with any of them? Did you guys ever did you ever run into anybody at a party or end up having kind of a similar conversation?
I mean, no, that was part of what was so weird, I think, for us was just being in Wilmington. We were so isolated.
Yeah. You didn't get a chance to talk with the Gossip Girl girls or the OC or any. I didn't watch those shows, so I don't know, but I just know that was happening on the air in a lot of teen shows. So maybe.
Yeah, no, I mean, partially I think because we were just so rarely at things together.
That's true.
I
It was
remember
like
the
upfronts
summer.
and that was it.
Yeah, like the summer after I made John Tucker Must Die, I did that movie with Penn Badgley, who was on.
Oh yeah,
Gossip Girl. And God, Penn is just the sweetest human. And at the time, I don't remember when we made the movie or after. I don't obviously know the dates of their relationship, but him and Blake dated for a long time. They fell in love on that show, and
okay,
they were a very sweet couple. And I ran into them at the Teen Choice Awards, and it was like, "Hi, how are you?" and whatever, but. You see someone in passing at an award show. It's not like I could look at Blake.
No, this is a conversation that happens when you're at a table, you've been drinking, you start talking. Yeah.
You want to have an experience to bond and get into something. And I think because we spent 9 years so far away, occasionally they would make it work so you could get home to present at the whatever, but then you'd come right back. So we didn't have sounding boards aside from each other. And I will say, in this era, Danielle was back and forth because she was recurring. So she would come in for scenes and then go home to LA. And, you had just gotten married and you were busy having this lovely moment. And so what was really helpful for me was in my friendships with Jane Beck and Lee Norris and sweet Scotty Saber and even James, we would all go out together, and they were some of the ones who really would call out the way I would get approached. And when you look at when someone says something to you and you turn your head and you've got Lee, James, and Scotty looking at you going, they shouldn't talk to you like that. And you go, oh shit. Because I'm in this moment where I'm thinking, these people, maybe they said something inappropriate or maybe the exchange was weird, but they're fans and my job is to be nice to them. Yeah. It was really having the boys begin advocating, saying absolutely not, where it helped to undo that girl culture of I'm supposed to be nice and sweet no matter what. Yeah. Yeah. And that is something I will really always cherish. And I know for you guys at home, you're rolling your eyes at how much we talk about how good our boys are, but they really, really are. And, those three boys, Paul, they were the crew who kind of really helped me learn to clap back at that sort of treatment.
And that it's okay for you to stand up for yourself and not just go, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'll be the bigger person. I don't want to make waves.
And that, by the way, someone who's going to call you a bitch for saying, please don't speak to me like that, you don't know me, is not a person whose opinion you need to care about anyway.
Amen. Say it again.
And then we've got lovely people like Mark Corrigan on Twitter who are like, hey, I'm a dude here and this made me so uncomfortable. Yes. And you just go, thank you. We really do. We have a good crew.
Yes. Yeah. That validation that your first instinct is correct. And it's all right. Yeah. You don't have to keep tempering yourself.
Yeah, that you're allowed to have feelings even if they aren't like, nice and neat. I think that that's really important. And interestingly, kind of brings us back around to the point of the episode, right? Like that I think is what Nathan and Haley illustrated the best in this episode 5, is that everybody's got all these feelings and they're not necessarily neat and clean.
Yeah.
But to be able to process them together, like that's really what gets you somewhere.
That is so true. That's been one of my biggest lessons in life that I'm still learning, is that it's okay to have messy emotions. It's just, it's hard. It's hard to, I don't know if it's a girl culture. I don't know what it is. I mean, I guess I know some guys who live this way too. So maybe it's not gender based. I don't know. But the idea that like, I want to do everything right. Like I don't like the feeling of realizing I did something wrong or made a mistake. It's a horrible feeling.
Oh, it's terrible.
But the recovery from that and the growth, that's what life's about. That's where the interest in life is. It's not in the moments where you do everything right. It's in all the moments when you find you've got egg on your face and you have to apologize, and then you grow and you get closer to somebody, or you learn something that makes you a better person. So then you have something to pass on to another human being later on down the line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important. And I think the fear that so many of us carry about screwing up can, in a way, if it gets too out of control, it can really hinder your ability to learn anything. Because if you're constantly worried that maybe you're not doing it exactly right, are you really present for the lesson?
Ooh. Yes. I was like louder for the people.
I love when I get you to lean back in your office chair.
So good. You nailed it.
I love it.
Oh, we love you guys. Okay, so look, we have a question from Jonathan. He wants to know if you could live in any character's house from One Tree Hill, whose house would it be? I think I would live in Lucas's house. I love that little craftsman, cottagey feeling. I love that style of a home. I don't need a lot. I need land, but I don't need a lot of house.
Yeah.
Personally.
Oh man. I don't know. It's funny. I have such association with obviously all of the houses on our show for the characters. I think the place I would be the most amped to have, speaking of our shared love of, land and being outdoors, I want Rachel's cabin.
Ooh, good call. Yes.
Yeah. That's the one I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
a good question, guys. Jonathan. Thank you. We needed a little bit of happiness. Now, by the way, I'm just thinking about how I would redo the cabin. I'm like, let's make that the HGTV show.
We're going to have
dreams.
a Pinterest board to look at soon. I know it.
100%.
Ooh, this one's good. Most likely to move back to Wilmington. Aw, that's sweet.
Oh my gosh.
Who's most likely? Well, Lee Norris did, right?
Yeah, Lee and Andrea moved back to Raleigh.
Oh, Raleigh. Right.
Oh gosh, who would want to go back to Wilmington? Honestly, who talks about it all the time is Barbara.
Oh yeah,
she loved
I could
living
see her there. Oh yeah.
I mean, gosh, I don't know. I think if I were ever able to maintain a summer home, I would love if we had a place there.
Yeah, Wrightsville, Figure 8 or something.
Oh, it would just be so special. But I gotta say, the lack of a direct flight makes it a no-go for me.
I totally agree. It's really difficult.
It is so hard to get there.
Yeah.
And, my whole family and my crew is 99% in Los Angeles. And the fact that it takes a 9-hour travel day.
Yeah.
First flight to last flight, not even getting to and from the airport. Oh my God.
I know, because you have to wait for that layover, and it's Atlanta or Charlotte. It's the only two places you can go from LA anyway.
It's
too even
hard.
From just coming out from Nashville was tough. I was like, man, I just wish it from Nashville. There should be a direct
they're
flight
so close. I know.
The beach.
Oh God.
Wrightsville Beach would get a lot more business if they did. I know there's a ton of flyover state people and landlocked people who would love access to that beach. But maybe they like it that way.
Who's the big airline there now? We should have a chat with them. If we could get a direct flight going,
Yeah, come on, Delta. Come on, American. Let's go.
Yeah. You call it like the Tree Hill route. Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. Well, I'm really hoping. Oh, no. I was just about to say, I hope we get to laugh more in the next episode. But I feel like, is the next episode prom? Is it more Derek? Oh, God. I don't know
what's
either.
in the next episode. It's
I'm
season 4, episode
scared.
6. It's called Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
Well, where did Derek sleep last night? Because he got up off the lawn.
I know. Well, we're going to get more of Ernest Waddell for sure because he just got introduced. So that'll be fun to get to know him a little bit more. And then, I don't know, we'll see what kind of surprising things await. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at Drama Queens OTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iheartradio.com. See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens.